All right, welcome to the brand new year edition of Idea Share. This is our January 2021. We are back in action. Good to see everybody. My name is Beth Golick from Key Ministry, and I'm joined by Catherine Boyle. Look for the red background, there she is, who is our Director of Mental Health Ministry. So it's great to see everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. And let's just get started. What are you, what's it looking like for you these days? Would anybody like to get us started? Don't see any hands. I'll start. So I have the coronavirus. So that's what we did for Christmas this year. But I am feeling much better. I'm not out of quarantine yet, but half of my family is out of quarantine. So if I start to fade a little bit, that's why. But thank goodness none of us had the respiratory issues. So our children's ministry was actually closed the last 2 Sundays, not because of me. That decision had been made going into the holidays that we would not have any kind of children's ministry programming for the last Sunday in December and the first Sunday in January, which very much kind of aligned with what the state of Ohio thought would be happening, and they were right. So anyway, so I don't have a whole lot to report about what's going on in my, because I do, as most of you know, work in a church, my church ministry at the moment. But how about anybody else? What do you have planned in January and everything else? It looks like my audio was bad for a while, but hopefully it'll kick in. Anyone?
I'll talk.
Who's talking? Oh, Tony. Hi, Tony. Oh, Tony's on the beach. He wishes.
Yeah. Right, in Northeast Ohio.
Right.
But hey, the Browns are in the playoffs and Ohio State's playing for the national championship, so all is good with us. We're starting a weekly Zoom Bible study support group starting next Monday. And one of the mothers from our Jacob's Ladder Special Needs Fitness group has led Bible studies before. She has a son with Down syndrome, and she's going to lead the group. And it's going to be next Monday, January 11th, from 7 to 7:40. And her name is Miriam. Really wonderful lady. Has been with us for a while. So we're doing that. And we're continuing to do our fitness groups on Zoom, and that's going pretty good. But that's one of the things we wanted to do to support caregivers. So I can send that to you, Beth, if anybody wants to see it or join it or whatever.
Well, why don't you share your website with us, Tony? That would be the best way. If you could either put it in the chat or say it out loud.
Sure. It's jacobsladderfitness.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
jacobsladderfitness.com, and I believe it's on there. And yeah, so technologically, I am a special needs person. Just keep that in mind. But in fact, when I need technological advice, I ask my son, Jake, who has Down syndrome, but he usually says, "Oh, Dad, you do this." And I go, "Oh, it's that simple, huh?" Anyway, so we're doing that, and we want to serve and we want to help people, and we want to encourage parents and caregivers, because I see a lot of them are bummed out sometimes.
Yep, for sure. All right, thank you for sharing, Tony.
Sure.
Who else would like to tell us what you have going on? Barb, thank you.
So we're really going to be concentrating coming up on how to get more people invested in our ministry, whether they're on site or at home. Because what we found is when this whole thing started, I think like a lot of people, thought people will come back, after a while, but kind of the people who have stayed at home seem like they're going to be there for a while. And that's including volunteers. So we are trying to find people that will help us from home. We have someone that's looking into taking over our adapted curriculum for us. We're going to try to look at really put more time into how can we engage better with the families that are home, and also do it in a way they may want to share with people we've never even met before. So I don't have all of the strategies for that yet, but that's really what's on our radar is just kind of embracing this new frontier.
Yeah, Barb, I thank you for sharing that. And I have to say that brings up an article that Catherine and I were reading this morning by Carrie Newhoff, and it's pretty much talking about what he sees the trends for 2021 to be for, okay, Catherine's getting the link for us. And he lists 8 trends of the post-pandemic church. And I really strongly urge every one of us on this to read this article. We'll get that out to you. So number 5 really caught me in particular. And Catherine, I don't know if you have it up, but I'll see if I can do it from memory. But number 5 had to do with, it's not just creating the content. What people need are they need the connection.
Yes.
So
yeah, it was the community and
that
connection.
is what our group has been so good about. Like, that's what we've been working on for the last, whatever, 9, I can't even do the math, 10 months, is how can we continue to connect with our families when we can't be in person? And yeah, community and connection is so important. So first of all, I want to commend this group, because you might be the person in your church who is like really paving the way on this. So thank you for the work that you're doing on this. And we need to continue to brainstorm with each other so we can help encourage and equip each other to do this number 5, and that's provide the community and connection. Catherine, do you want to say anything more about the article, or any thoughts? Number 8 was a big one too.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. Let's see. Yeah, spiritual entrepreneurs will thrive. And I mean, I think that that's what a lot of us in this group and a lot of us in the ministries that we do have functioned like. You know, we've been pioneers, or we've been people that have done things that haven't been done before. We've had to think outside of the box just in general. And then obviously with COVID, the churches that seem to be hanging in there and doing well are the ones who were able to, step outside the box. But I mean, it was really gratifying also to read the article today, because I mean, connection and discipleship and community are things that we're really focusing on as a ministry this year, for Key Ministry. So it was gratifying to see that, Carrie Newhoff, who wrote this, who's like such a forward thinker, trend, understands the trends of the church, basically said, yes, this is where ministries and churches need to be focused. So yeah, definitely on your reading table today.
For sure. Thank you, Barb.
Add one more quick thing. So in our, we have our church ministry for special needs, but then I also run an online training ministry for just churches. And if you guys are interested, we would love to invite you to be part of our Facebook group. It's called Wonderful Works Special Needs Ministry. And we're trying to build a group of special needs ministry leaders like you guys, and children's ministry leaders who don't have any special needs experience. We're relaunching our ministry this month, and the entire month we're going to be talking about relaunch. And I would love to have you guys be part of our conversation to help spread your ideas and your brainstorms with the rest of the group. If you haven't spent a lot of time around churches that don't have special needs ministries for a while, you will be really surprised at the impact that you can have just by sharing what you know. So if it's okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Oh, good. Okay. So that was my next question. All right. And then I'll read it out loud so that our anybody watching on the recording can access it.
Thanks.
All right. Who else would like to share or raise a question or a thing that's kind of on your heart or you're dealing with these days? Yeah, Bronwyn. Hello.
Hey, so for a while here in California, up until probably 2 weeks ago, we were able to comfortably do a lot of ministry outside, which was nice. but now it's getting colder and we're like going backwards. We're on some kind of like colder for us, like for us. I wear gloves sometimes. We're on like a stay-at-home order, kind of, sort of. No one really knows what that means. In terms of church, it's a little bit confusing as to what we're allowed to do on site and who's allowed to be there, and like what we're not really quite sure, I don't think, all the time, and especially dealing with children and youth versus adults. And so I think this month especially, we're trying to figure out how do we really have discipleship happen when a lot of it is still virtual, or like, I don't know. I think a lot of it is us, I'm thinking like a lot of it is us empowering volunteers to then go out, right? Because we can only reach so many people as like a single ministry leader. I have 5 volunteer interns that started today, I guess, technically. And so it's nice that, I'm hoping they could go out, to the families and reach them, because I can only reach so many, right? So I think that's kind of where we're headed, is to try to figure out how do we empower other people around us, because this is probably what it's going to be like for the rest of the school year, at least here. So, I know a lot of you guys are, more in person or doing some kind of hybrid thing. And so someday I will learn, I'll take all your lessons and apply those. But for now, I think, we're really thinking like, how do we make discipleship happen in this virtual format? And I think like Barb said, like, it's not like it's going to go away tomorrow. Like, this is the reality we're living in. And so we might as well just deal with that and figure it out. Yeah. Cold in California. It was 40 degrees on Christmas Eve. We had like a drive-in service, and like it was like, alert everyone, dress in your finest winter clothing, 40 degrees.
Yes. And meanwhile, my church did have our family Christmas Eve service outside during the beginning of the winter storm that hit Cleveland on.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd be able to make that out here.
Woke up the next morning, Christmas morning. I think my town had 16 inches of snow. So, all right. So yeah, I think what Bronwyn is saying is pretty much like what we need to be focusing on, is how to do discipleship. Even if you live in a state where your state is more open, or maybe your church is more open than Bronwyn's, that doesn't mean that all your families are back and all your volunteers are back. So this really is kind of, I think, what we're going to continue to be dealing with into 2021. Let me just take a quick break and read you a couple of the websites from the comments, just so that we have this on record for our people who are watching the recording. Tony shared jacobsladderfitness.com, and Barb shared, so on Facebook, it's a group, and it's called Wonderful Works. So go to go to Facebook and search for the Wonderful Works group and ask to be added to that. All right, who would like to go next? Yes, how are you, Allison? Happy New Year.
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to avoid a bow and arrow from a 6-year-old that's flying past me at the same time.
We all have our workplace hazards.
I've got a praise and a thank you to Elizabeth and Laura, who on the call on the Wednesday before Christmas, when we were talking about how to share, sorry, I don't know whether my audio is going a bit peculiar, to share watching a movie or doing something. I was thinking for Night to Shine, but I actually had a practice run that Saturday with watching a movie with our kids ministry and our special needs ministry, and we had up to 50 kids on there. It went really smoothly, and I was like, yay, I can do it. And that has opened up doors for me for Night to Shine, so I'm super excited about that. We're also, it's just reintegrated our kids and special needs program again, but we are integrated and we work a lot together, but it was just one of those occasions where we've been doing the pizza pickup craft activity thing for the last 9 months. They joined in this and they were like, that was so fun. And that was the biggest engagement they have had. So going forward this year, I think we're going to sort of do some more collaborative work, but just a huge thank you to those that showed me how to do the tech side, and I did it. So thank you, Elizabeth and Laura from SOAR
That is
Special
awesome.
Needs.
Yes. So thank you, Elizabeth and Laura from SOAR. Thanks for sharing that. And Allison, thanks for sharing that it worked.
Right.
So that's awesome. And I love that your children's ministry is getting on board with what you've kind of been leading the way. And I have to say, again, my church had the family service outdoors, and we did it on the 23rd and the 24th. I wasn't there because I was already in quarantine, but the 23rd, the weather was like super mild and nice, and the 24th, it was, snowing and cold. But four of the families that are in the special needs ministry came to that service, 3 of whom have not been in the building since before March. And so I was thrilled that this was something that they felt comfortable, and they came and they were able to worship, in person with other people. And I was just thrilled. So I just had to say that was a cool thing that happened. Bronwyn is sharing in the chat that they showed the Charlie Brown Christmas movie with their kids / respite ministry before Christmas, and it was really fun. They also did a Kahoot game after based on the movie, and lots participated. So yay, look at us using all this technology. Cool. Julie.
So you guys were such an inspiration to us to figure out how we could have fun at Christmas time with our groups online. And so we had 2 Christmas parties. And one of them was our life group, which was very calm and fun. We did, the usual trivia questions about, different Christmas carols and stuff like that. And it was so much fun. And then we did a couple of, what are they called when you run around? Help me.
Scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt. And they loved it, and this was all adults, and they had a really good time doing that. But it was very calm. So that was our life group. And then we did our Oasis, which is the parent support group. And we said, okay, whole families are invited to this. Usually it's the adults. This time the whole family got into it. We realized very early on that doing trivia was not going to work because the kids couldn't care a hoot about our trivia about Christmas carols. So and Christmas hymns. So we did 5 different scavenger hunts.
Yeah,
and
loved it.
They had a blast. In fact, one of the dads took a video of his kids running around and put it in our Facebook group. Oh. So it was just a lot of fun. We had a great time. You could hear anybody talking to anybody else.
Yeah, there were 12 units, 12 pictures, and so everyone represented a family. So it was crazy fun. It was a lot
and
of
they loved it. So now we feel a little bit braver about doing parties on Zoom. Who would have ever thought? So thanks for your ideas, guys, and giving us the confidence to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I love that we're all learning from each other. So that's great. Now you, Julie and Tom, have probably given somebody else on here confidence to try it out. So that's awesome. Bronwyn says in the chat, for Zoom games, you can also go to jeopardylabs.com and create custom Jeopardy games, super user-friendly and customizable. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. So that's jeopardylabs.com. Cool. Write that one down. All right. Who else would like to share what's going on? Sylvia, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. It's great to see everybody. What we're doing is probably much of nothing new. And like I said, we're still going to probably be doing this in 2022, but that's okay because we're learning. And what I've been doing is going into my old files of people who have previously participated in the ministry, but have over the years gotten lost. And I'm finding them. I'm purposing to find them and to incorporate them send them links to everything that we're doing. We have 3 Sunday schools going. On Sunday, we do Buddy Break every month still, whether it's an online virtual kind of an activity, or like for Christmas, we packed Christmas bags for the whole family. We had sent out a link that asked them to give us ideas of what their favorite restaurants were, what their favorite food, what their favorite color, all that kind of stuff, and picked up gifts and packed baskets of things. And we had drivers, volunteer drivers, to go around and drop them off. And it included some of the families, like I said, who've not been a part of the ministry forever. Like some of them may have signed up, but just never participated. But I recreated their addresses and stuff, put labels on things. Some things I've mailed. I said mailing is interesting though. I sent one, I'm in Maryland, sent one to someone in Virginia, and I just tracked it today, and it's in Michigan.
Yeah, geography doesn't actually apply to the US mail at the moment.
No.
I'm sure it'll get better, but right now, yes.
It just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's been exciting just to get some of the responses back from the parents of people who we haven't heard from. And our Sunday school attendance continues to grow, and the people are consistent about coming now. Whereas sometimes when we were in place, they wouldn't come, maybe on a regular basis, but now everybody can come pretty much on a regular basis, and just finding out what their needs are. Sometimes it's just a matter of doing, again, a virtual respite for a parent who may be really, really stressing out. You know, okay, I'll keep them entertained while you go and rest for a while. We're going to continue to do those kinds of things for them.
That is awesome. So what I love so many things about this, but I mean, for those of you who don't know, so Sylvia's church probably won't open until possibly 2022, because their leadership has said until everybody can come back in the building, then nobody's coming back in the building. So she has done a phenomenal job, though, of continuing to engage her participants like throughout this whole entire time. And what I love is that you're taking this time and reaching out to new people, or people that haven't, you know, that may be unchurched, that maybe haven't been involved in a really, really long time. And I think that's a really good use of your time. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope that encourages, you know, some of us to do that too, to reach out to the people that you haven't heard from in a really long time, because that's something we can all do, even if we're not, you know, even if we're still social distanced. So,
Can I say something here real quick? So the article that we linked to from Kerry Newhoff, I mean, he just really emphasized how important community and connection is going forward, and that's not going to change, that particularly for people who have not been involved in church in any way, you know, if they're just, you know, new to following Jesus or learning what that means, they couldn't care less about the building, you know, particularly since so much of life has gone online in the past year. So it's just really all about, you know, what kind of connections and community you're able to form right now, you know, using whatever technology or means that are available to you where you are.
So I have to share a quote from the article. This one really hit me. I think this is awesome. It says, he said, "No one should be able to out-local or out-community the local church." So that really, you know, that kind of gives us our marching orders, right?
Beth, I will share too, if you're
Yeah,
not
Michelle.
much of a reader, Kerry has that on one of his more recent podcasts as well. He has podcasts that you can subscribe to, and you can listen to it instead of read it if you're more of a auditory learner than a visual learner.
Oh, good. Okay. That's a good.
And then I only had really two things. One of the things that I find myself doing right now is really reflecting back on 2020, and I'm trying to be intentional. I actually go through month by month and kind of note things that happened in my ministry during those months. And then later in the year, when the elders want to report from me, it's like I already have this document kind of loaded, because my brain just kind of works right now in the method of kind of looking back and like what worked really well, and you know what didn't work so well, and I just kind of journal that into a document and have it. The other thing I was thinking about and I just saw a reminder pop up for me today, is Jolene Philo's virtual Bible study is kicking in and starting. Some of you are probably really familiar with that, but I pushed out invitations just this morning to a lot of my families, and they can just join that. I think it's on Thursdays at 11. Is that
11
someone can correct me if I'm
Central
wrong?
Time. Yeah, thank you. So you can read about that. It's actually on Key Ministries events page. So if you go to keyministry.org and click on events, you can read about it. It does start this Thursday. And so it's the book, Sharing Love Abundantly as a Special Needs Family.
Yeah, the 5 love languages of a special needs family.
Sharing Love Abundantly. Yeah. Thank you. So you can, and yeah, so Catherine just put the link directly to the registration form. I'm not going to read out the URL on that one, but I can just tell you to go to keyministry.org/events, and you can sign up for that. And Michelle, I love the idea of taking this time. That's another good use of our time right now, going back and thinking through each month, what worked, what didn't. And boy, yeah, you're going to be ready when they ask you for a report or a summary or something. So that's a really good idea, and I'll be taking that back to my colleagues as well.
Yeah, it's just amazing when I find like, oh, I did all of this. You know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it seems like a really slow year, but then when you look and, you know, start looking at your calendar and logging things, it's like, oh, wow, we did accomplish a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm just looking around at the grid and of this group, and I know that so many of you did so many new things last year, really, you know, stepped out of the box, out of your comfort zone, and I think our ministries are better for it. So good job. All right, who else?
I'll go.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Patrick, and I work at an agency that supports people that live in group homes and also in day program settings in Rochester, New York, and also Buffalo. And what I'm finding is that, and I'm on the spiritual care team, I'm currently able to work from home. So I'm finding that I'm coming up with creative ways to connect with people who I support virtually. And that's been a little bit of a challenge, but I've been finding that over time, more and more people are really open and accepting to meeting through technology. So that's been good. I'd be curious to find out and learn what ways that people in this group have found that has worked well connecting with people virtually.
Thank you. That's a great question. I was just going to ask you the same thing because I love that we have an expert on group homes here. So Patrick, if you want to share anything that you feel like has been kind of a win as far as how you can connect with group homes, and then of course anybody else, please feel free to chime in.
Yeah, so I found that certainly having opportunities to have, you know, prayer groups has been good. I'm also a priest in the Episcopal Church, so bringing in that piece of what I do as well, but also having informal conversations with folks. Also because the virtual meetings are a way to connect, because when I am able to connect in person, I go to a house and I'll visit with people, meet them where they are, talk about what they're doing, talk about their day, and hopefully I might be invited for dinner, which I always like. So to have some sort of a combination of all of that virtually is what I strive for.
And do you find, like, are you working with like the group home directors, or like what's the best way to get in? And I think this is especially a good conversation for anybody who's doing a night to shine or similar event, because this is a really good opportunity to you know, really focus on group homes.
Yeah, so it's a good question. I find that certainly connecting with the group home, the house manager, is oftentimes the best person to connect with. And if there are folks where people are very independent who live in the home, sometimes I'll connect with the folks individually, but always the staff.
And technology wise, what are you finding in your area? Are group homes able to easily set up a Zoom? How, like, what are your, any thoughts on that that could help us?
Yeah, so group homes, they seem to be setting up Zooms. The agency is has put Microsoft Teams on all of the computers. So that's probably the easiest to use, but Zoom is always a go-to as well for that.
Okay.
So, and I'm finding that, whereas early on in the pandemic and quarantine, it seemed to be more difficult to connect through technology, whereas now this time around they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
do
we're all
that.
experts now, right?
Yeah.
All right, who else would like to share either what you're doing with group homes or maybe a question on, something you'd like to try or you're wondering how to get in? Hmm.
I know Ryan Wolf, I don't think he's on
Yes.
this call, but I know if you go to what's Ability Ministry, they do quite a bit of work with connecting group homes. In our area, we do have like a preteen and teen group home. That's actually not very far from the church. And we've done some intermittent connection with them, and I'm hoping, and some of the volunteers are hoping to connect a bit more. I've worked at places like that, and so I get it. So so yeah, I'm hoping to connect more, but I know Ryan Wolf certainly has done.
Yeah,
quite a good job.
definitely Ability Ministry is an excellent resource. And Ryan's home church is connected with a huge day program. It's a really cool campus. So, yeah, Patrick, thank you for bringing this up. And I know personally, I am really hoping to use Night to Shine to really bless some group homes this year and establish, some more relationships so that we can, figure out a way to include members of the group home more in our church, in the life of our church. So I think this is a great opportunity for us.
Thank you. Yeah. We the agency I work with, Heritage Christian Services in Rochester, and in my role, I as a faith community inclusion specialist, I build connections between the faith communities and individuals we support in the in the houses. So, and building those connections and bridges.
Okay, so good resource there, people. Thank you. Tony, it says in the chat that they can do Zoom exercise classes with group homes, and they've had group homes attend their in-person classes. So that's great. That's another clever use of Zoom. All right, who else? All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything. Catherine, can you tell us a little bit? We have, as far as key ministry goes, we'll have like more announcements on some programming coming up soon, but we do have a couple of really cool webinars set up for this month, plus a really awesome roundtable coming your way. So the roundtable is our our traditional third Wednesday of the month Disability Ministry Video Roundtable. And I think this is a great way to kick off the year. We're going to be talking about that work-life balance when you're in disability ministry. And Barb Stanley is going to be on the roundtable and will kind of guide us through some of the things that she's learned along the way. So we're thankful for her expertise there. But Catherine, can you share a little bit about the mental health webinars that are coming up and the series that the Key Ministry will be doing this year? If you could fill us in a little bit about that, please.
Absolutely. So we do have 2 mental health ministry webinars this month. The first one is on the 13th. And as Beth mentioned, we're starting a new series that's called Mental Health Ministry and Cultural Competence. So the first one that we're going to be hosting, our guest is going to be DJ Chong. He's a podcaster. He's a strategy consultant. He used to be a pastor. He works with churches, and I think he works with the American Bible Society. Anyway, he's going to talk about the specific needs and some of the barriers that are faced by Asian Americans in seeking mental health treatment. He's a person who lives with bipolar disorder. And then, some things that the church can do to help families who have those additional barriers. So that'll be a really good, insightful webinar coming up next Wednesday. Registration link is on our events page, and I think I put that there already for Jolene's study. But anyway, I'll make sure that it's in the chat before we get finished here today. We will be doing other seminars that talk about cultural competence, probably one a month going forward. Don't have those scheduled yet, but just anticipate that we'll have more that are focused on particular areas, multi-ethnic churches, traditionally Hispanic churches, traditionally Black churches, that sort of thing. So anyway, just look for those as we move into February and beyond. And then at the end of the month, on January 27th, we're going to be talking with Pastor Brad Hambrick. He is the counseling pastor at the Summit Church, which is in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area. He's got just fabulous insights on lots of mental health topics, but we're going to be talking specifically about trauma awareness. Trauma is one of those topics that is, never not relevant, and particularly with the kind of year that we've all gone through, where really everybody just struggled with, feeling anxious or, having a lot of emotions in this past year. People who've lived through trauma may have really struggled even more. So he'll have some ministry tips for leaders to just be aware and to how to help people who do have some traumatic issues in their pastor that they're dealing with. So again, January 13th and January 27th, and then the future ones we'll have also on our events page.
Thank you. So that's 2 different registrations, and they're both at keyministry.org/events. And then the third Wednesday, the Disability Ministry Video Roundtable that I mentioned, if you have been receiving email from us about those, then you're probably already registered. You only have to register once, and you'll get the email link emailed to you each month. All right. So if that is it, I'm starting to fade. So I think we're gonna call it a day. Thank you so much for joining us, kicking off the year. And I look forward to seeing you on the third Wednesday, and then back again on the first Monday in February. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. You too.